Welcome to the Will and Aaron Show with William Kramer and my co-host Aaron Bontrager. We cover local sports, including the NIC and NLC conferences, plus teams in St. Joseph and Elkhart counties. We also cover college and pro sports. Today we will recap high school football week 9 and preview high school football sectionals, IHSAA cross country and soccer tournament updates, discuss college football, NFL, MLB, and the NBA. Aaron, we got a full slate for this episode.
Yeah, we do.
So let's start with topic number 1, high school football week 9 recap. We had some interesting matchups. Let's start with New Prairie and Elkhart. New Prairie came out hot right from the start as they jumped out to a 21-7 halftime lead. Now, I actually picked New Prairie to lose this game, so I was completely wrong. Wow, what a shocker. New Prairie came out and just dominated 6A Elkhart Lions. The Cougars made it 28-7 on their first drive of the second half. Noah Mungia ran wild for 279 yards and a touchdown. Of course, the quarterback Marshall Kamisic ran for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the offensive line for New Prairie just played very well, controlled the line of scrimmage, and they were complemented by the defense. Really, all phases of the game, New Prairie just played well. New Prairie coach said that they played the most complete game of the season, as the Cougars finished second in the East-West division of the NIC, right behind the Penn Kingsmen. Now, the way New Prairie won this game will send a message to sectional opponents. You know, Aaron, this is a dangerous team that I think can make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, what a great win that was for them. Didn't see it coming either.
So, Jimtown and Riley played for the NIC North-South Division Championship, and Jimtown won 19-7, earning their second straight conference title. Now, the Jimtown defense forced 4 turnovers, including 2 in the first half, that helped set up Jimtown's scoring opportunities. The secondary, which we were a little bit critical on the show last week, they played much better against Riley's wide receivers. Connor Watts' 1-yard touchdown run opened the scoring for the Jimtown Jimmies. Now, after a fumble recovery by the Jimmies defense, Bishop Williams, the quarterback, connected with Caden Rogers for a 21-yard touchdown pass to make the score 12-0. Jimtown added another score early in the fourth quarter. Riley got on the board when Robert Nebu rumbled 28 yards on a 4th and 1 for a touchdown. A lot of people doubted this Jimtown team earlier in the season, especially this senior class, considering what they lost from last year's senior class. To win 7 games in an outright conference title just speaks volumes to how much this team has grown in the leadership of this senior class. So I want to say congratulations to Coach Stoner, the staff, players, the entire Jimtown community. Jimtown is a special place. They love their football, Aaron.
Yes, they do.
So, St. Joseph and Marion, the Holy War. This was an intriguing matchup considering that both programs are kind of struggling, if you will, not playing the best football that we've seen both programs play in the years past. St. Joe is victorious in the Holy War for the first time since 2018. They outgained Marion in total offense by 127 yards. And it was a Laniger score 4-yard touchdown that forced overtime 21-21 all. Now, Hayden Miller knocked away Mishawaka Marion's last-ditch effort in the end zone on 4th down to secure the win. That was after St. Joe had scored in the overtime. But congratulations, St. Joe, on winning the Holy War for this year.
Yeah, definitely. I heard on social media this was like the first overtime game in this Holy War series.
Yeah, it was, which is surprising considering all the years they played this great rivalry game.
Yeah. We'll see if either team can make a run in the postseason. Now we turn to the NLC. First up, Concord won 52-0 against Plymouth. Concord took care of business in this one. They won the battle up front in all phases of the game. 5 different Minutemen scored a rushing touchdown in this one, and they had a total of 300 yards rushing. Quarterback Hudson Glanz had 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown, and he threw it to Connor Morris. Lance Army and Armin Kultukin led the Concord D in this one with 4.5 and 3.5 tackles each. Moving on to Northwood, 42, Goshen 6. The Panthers finish an impressive regular season with a perfect 9-0 record. They also clinched their first conference championship since 2018 after a really impressive second quarter that saw them score on 4 straight possessions against the Redhawks. Owen Rader had another 4-touchdown game as he continued to use his plethora of playmakers in this one. Goshen will get a week off, and then they host the conference foe Concord in their sectional matchup. Moving on to Mishawaka and Wawasee. Mishawaka won 54-21. Cavemen wrapped up their second place finish in the NLC. They haven't finished below third since joining the NLC. In this game, Wawasee opened up an early 7-6 lead in the first quarter, but Mishawaka seized control in the second quarter, scoring 21 points to Wawasee 0. Offensively, Mishawaka was led by Chaz Hardy with 3 touchdowns, and Novell Miller added 2 more on the ground. And Brady Fisher threw a touchdown pass to Bean Smith in this one. The Cavemen outgained the Warriors 463-211 yards. And the lights-out defense was led by Isaac Valdez, 11 tackles, Caden Williams, 9, Carmine Orzoko, 6 tackles and 2 sacks, and Balin Eby had 5.5 tackles and 3 sacks. Yeah, so then the final, one of the more, evenly matched games was Warsaw-Northridge. Warsaw won 35-21. I was able to watch the second half. Shout out to IHSAA really helpful when you can't get to the game. Warsaw finished in third place after winning this game, in the NLC that is. They were led by Jermaine Flores Ortega's 5 rushing touchdown performance, which ties a school record, and he's the 5th Tiger to do that in their school history. He carried the ball for 30 times for 166 yards. And quarterback Drew Sullivan rushed for 179 yards as well. I didn't realize this, but after the game, it was reported that Warsaw was without 10 players due to suspensions. But the Tigers overcame this. They overcame some adversity in the first half and pretty much dominated the fourth quarter, and the Tigers' O-line was able to really push the ball around, run the ball like they wanted to in this one. Warsaw will get a week off, prepare for their battle with Elkhart in their sectional. And we'll talk more about the Raiders coming up. Any thoughts on the NLC, Will?
Just 2 thoughts as you were talking there. One was, I was surprised that Wawasee was able to put up points, 21 points on Mishawaka. My initial thought was, well, that must be in garbage time, but it looks like Wawasee actually had a lead in the first quarter, so a little bit surprised by that. And then, Warsaw, congrats to Coach Curtis for finishing up the season strong with a solid win against a solid program. And can't wait to see what both Warsaw and Northridge do in the sectional coming up.
Yeah, Warsaw's in that heavyweight sectional that we'll talk a lot about probably next week. Yeah, so Wawasee, man, I didn't see that coming either. I guess, looks like they threw the ball around quite a bit. So Mason Shoemaker and their quarterback had a pretty good game. All right, let's turn to topic 2 here, sectional previews. Just to update everyone on our picking high school games, I'm currently at 27-4, and Will is at 27-5. So we had another strong week. I think I missed the Warsaw game, and you did the New Prairie one.
Yeah, I missed the New Prairie one.
All right, so we're going to save the 5A and 6A because they have buys this week, so we'll save it for the next episode. So the one section I'll be talking heavily about is Sectional 18, where the 4A schools reside. And we got Wawasee 1-8 going to Logansport, who is 7-2. So here's kind of my outlook on this one. I don't know a lot about Logansport, but it looks like they've beaten some pretty good teams in their conference. Wawasee's had trouble really, in a way, competing with the better teams in the NLC this year. Their closest games was a 10-point defeat to a healthier Goshen team in Week 3, and then an 11-point loss to a pretty good West Noble team in Week 2. Logansport, on the other hand, has only 2 losses in their conference to the champion in Harrison, who won the North Central Conference, and Kokomo, who finished second place. Logansport's averaging over 30 points a game, and Wawasee gives up more than 30 points a game. I feel like the Berries of Logansport advance in this game. They lost a close one last year to St. Joe, so this will be a better matchup for them and result. The second game, Northwood will travel and face South Bend, Washington. The Panthers are focused. I think Coach Andrews has them on a roll, and they'll win the battle of the Panthers in this one. Too much talent, and I don't see them getting upset in this game. Then you got 3-6 St. Joe going to Plymouth. St. Joe's coming off that big win we talked about in the Holy War. And I think that success will carry over here. The Indians should cruise in this one. And probably the more intriguing game on paper is Northridge 5-4. We'll be traveling to Riley to take on the Wildcats, who are 5-4 too. The TV 46 game of the week, for good reason, I think. If you look at all the matchups, this is probably one of the better ones. Both teams are playing pretty well to end the season. They're both on, I guess they both went 4-2 in their last 6 games. Both teams are coming off a loss in their final game of the season. How do you see this one going, Will? I'll ask you first, and then I'll answer my question to you.
Well, let's look at the conferences as a whole, NLC and NIC. I was doing a little digging here. The NLC as a conference has had the better of the NIC. The NIC East-West Division alone poses a challenge to the NLC. But the NLC top to bottom, I feel, is a better conference than the NIC. Now, of course, we're talking about football here. Northwood is 8-2 in the past 10 games against the NIC team. That might surprise some folks. 8-2, the Raiders. Northridge football, 8-2 against the NIC conference. As compared to Riley, who is 0-10 against the NLC. Now, the Wildcats are getting better, and I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Lee. He's done a nice job returning the program to relevancy after a 2-year struggle. But however, Northridge just last year went to the state finals. I was there, watched the game. It was a great environment. The whole entire Middlebury community was there. I felt like strong support. It was a wonderful experience. And that experience, along with the tough schedule this year, I just think they have the advantage I like the Raiders to win this game.
I think I agree with you there. Close. I can see it being a closer game, maybe than some might think. The only common opponent has been South Bend Adams, and Northridge blew them out in week 1, and the Wildcats took the Eagles to double overtime in week 3. But like you were saying, I think there's Northridge's schedule bodes well for them and how their past success. So I think they're ahead of Riley right now in terms of what it takes to win in the postseason. But I mean, anything can happen. Everyone's 0-0, as I'm sure every coach is telling their team. So I like the Raiders too in this one.
You know, it's interesting. I'm looking at the AP poll right now. Northwood is ranked 5th in 4A. New Prairie is 8th. You look at 5A, Mishawaka is ranked 4th. Penn and Elkhart are tied for 10th, but you know this is week 8 poll. They haven't come out with the week 9 poll. Elkhart will drop out of the top 10. Penn should be alone by themselves and in the rankings. Mishawaka probably will stay at 4. New Prairie might climb up from 8 maybe to 7.
Yeah,
that was a huge win against Elkhart. 3A, no area teams are receiving votes in the AP poll. Maybe Gemtown might get a vote or two this week. That's the only team I think of.
Yeah.
Of course, Laville is 3rd in 2A.
They got the perfect season so far.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Sagarin ratings, if you look at the Sagarin ratings, they have Northwood as the 21st ranked team in the state in Sectional 18. That's pretty good.
They have a good path to get out of this.
Northridge is 83. So you look at Sectional 18, I know we're going to hand ourselves here. But Northridge and Northwood should come down to those two teams.
All right, so before Will previews a few games, we'll just briefly mention in Sectional 33, Laville 9-0 hosts 4-4 Whiting, the Oilers. And then Bremen will host Wheeler Bearcats, who are 3-3, and we'll see how far these two teams can go as well.
Well, in Sectional 33, it's really a 2-team sectional. You got the second-ranked the Andrian 59ers. They're second-ranked at 6-2. And then your third-ranked Laville Lancers. Wow. You have 2 of the top 3 teams in the state in one sectional in Class 2A. That's just unfortunate that only one of them can advance.
Yeah.
But Bremen, I think Bremen should win that game. They should be able to beat Wheeler.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at Marion at West Noble. Marion, of course, is 2-7 on the season. West Noble is 7-2. Now, you only look at the records, you might think that West Noble is a huge favorite. I don't believe that is the case. Both teams lost in a similar fashion to Angola. If you look at the scoring, Marion played a tougher schedule. Of course, I'm biased to the NIC conference as compared to the NECC conference. West Noble wants to run the ball, whereas Marion, I think, is more balanced. Marion has won 3 straight regionals. Folks, don't forget that. Marion Knights has won 3 straight regionals. That means they played in 3 straight semi-states. That alone should scare the opponents in sectional 26. I think this game will be decided late in the game. I don't think that West Noble is going to blow out Marion. I have Marion. This is going to surprise a lot of folks, but I have Marion beating West Noble on the road and reminding everyone in sectional 26 that they are still to be someone to be reckoned with. Yeah, I know they've only won 2 games, but you look at their losses and who they played.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this Marion team, when it comes to sectional 26, I think they can still make some noise. Now, are they the favorites? No. Now, if you look at the Saginaw ratings for sectional 26, this might surprise our listeners, but Knox is actually ranked number 1 in our sectional, or in sectional 26, I should say.
Yeah.
The second ranked team in the sectional 26 is not Jimtown. A lot of folks would think it'd be Jimtown. It is actually West Noble, followed by Jimtown, followed by John Glenn, Fairfield, and then Marion. So, it's interesting. I think the Sanger rating is fun to look at. I don't know if it would be the end all parameter, but it is a factor when you look at things. But yeah, I just think Marion can put a scare into West Noble, even though the records are complete opposite. Fairfield Falcons 5-4 at John Glenn, also 5-4. Both of these teams, Aaron, started the season well, only to struggle in the middle of their season. Mm-hmm. It just feels like John Glenn is playing better football right now than Fairfield in recent weeks. I actually saw John Glenn last week when they played Washington, and I was impressed with their quarterback, Aiden Johnson. He's a guy that can use his feet and also hurt you through the air using his arm. The running back, Mason Cobell, he's a load to take down, big running back. And their wide receiver, we talked about him before, their stud, Tyron Larkin. He's going to be someone that Fairfield really has to keep an eye out on. Now, John Glenn is more balanced on offense. We'll try to keep Fairfield's defense guessing. Glenn needs to stop Fairfield's rushing attack because that's what the Falcons want to do. They want to run the ball. And I just think I like John Glenn at home. I like that the Falcons have played a tougher schedule, and I have John Glenn winning this game and advancing in the tournament.
Nice. Pretty wide open sectional. I'm assuming you have Jimtown cruising against Clay and Knox beating Lakeland. We kind of touched on Knox here.
Yeah, yep. Your assumptions are correct. Jimtown will beat Clay, and Knox, we just mentioned their Saginaw rating for sectionals. They're number 1. Russ Radke is a long-time coach. He's had success in North Judson, New Prairie. Anywhere he goes, he has success. And I'm telling you, if people don't know about Knox football, they're going to know about Knox football real soon because they are a team to be reckoned with. They are a dangerous team right now. They run the ball very well. And it would not shock me if they made some noise in sectional 26 this year. I'm telling you, people need to be aware of that. Knox football. Okay. We are going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to talk about some of the other IHSAA Fall Sport Tournament results.
You can listen to the Will and Aaron Show podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube and like our videos. Follow us on Twitter at Will Aaron Show. You can follow the Will and Aaron Show Facebook page where you can interact by commenting, liking, sharing, and reviewing our podcast.
Welcome back to the Will and Aaron Show where we talk about local college and pro sports. We're going to kick off our next topic 3, and talk about IHSAA Fall Sport Tournament results. Girls cross country. New Prairie senior Lillian Zalaska won the Chesterton Regional with a time of 17 minutes, 55 seconds. So congratulations to Lillian. Well done, and we wish you the best of luck in the semi-state. Of course, she wasn't the only one. Penn wins the Elkhart Regional as a team, so congratulations to the Kingsmen for winning that regional. And Penn's Mary Eubank wins the Elkhart Regional by 3 seconds. So what a crazy finish that was to the girls cross country regional. We want to wish both New Prairie and Penn the best of luck in the semi-state. Boys cross country, Northridge Raiders win the Elkhart Regional with an average time of 16:23. William Boschke Mishawaka wins the regional with a time of 15 minutes and 45 seconds. So congratulations to all the winners and best of luck as you race in the semi-state.
And then it's girls soccer, Class 2A, and the Marion Regional semifinal game. Mishawaka Marion won 7-0 against Northwood. So congrats to the Lady Knights. And then the final, they would go on to beat West Lafayette 1-0. Yeah, so best of luck to them as they move on to semi-state. And then in boys soccer, we have the Class 2A Marion semifinal. Marion defeated Northwood 1-0. And then the regional final, they beat West Lafayette 2-1. So Marion Knights move on to semi-state. Best of luck to them. And then in the 3A Penn regional, number 15 Penn beat Goshen 5-4 in the semifinal. And then they would take down Lake Central 2-1 in the final. Best of luck to the Knights and Kingsmen as they advance in the state tournament.
How exciting. We have the Marion Knights, both boys and girls in semi-state, and of course Penn in the semi-state. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And in the volleyball sectionals, we want to say congratulations to the following sectional winners: New Prairie Cougars, the Northwood Panthers, and the Warsaw Lady Tigers. Congratulations to those three schools, and best of luck as you play in the semi-state.
Yeah.
Let's move on to topic number 4, college football. Starting off with Stanford's stunning victory against our Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, 16-14. I was actually at this game. Just a lackluster effort by the Irish. 2 costly fumbles by Drew Pine and Audric Estime paved the way for Stanford to win their first FBS win of this season. Now, even despite, even despite how poorly Notre Dame played throughout the game, they were still in position to win the game. They were driving in the late fourth quarter. They were only down 2. So all they had to do was get in field goal position. But, of course, the late fumble by Estime turned the tide. But even then, they got a 3. They got the ball back. And, of course, they weren't able to do anything with that. Now, credit Stanford for executing and playing at a high level in college football. If you don't bring your A game, then anyone can beat you. Drew Pine needs to play better football, completing less than 50% of his passes for an average of 5 yards. Just is going to cut it. Stanford had 2 sacks and 6 tackles for loss. The offensive line needs to play better as a unit. Now, Notre Dame fans need to have patience with this team and with Coach Freeman. We are used to winning a lot of games of recent and last few years, and credit Brian Kelly for that. People have to remember that BK lost to Navy and Tulsa in back-to-back weeks in his first year as head coach, and the team at that time was 4-5. Now, there's still a lot of season left for the Irish. They need to learn from this and continue to build and get better. But, it is Coach Freeman's first year, and I think we all knew that going in, that we could be in for kind of a back-and-forth year. So, enjoy the wins, but also let's have patience when we don't win the games we should. Maryland 38, Indiana 33. Connor Beslett threw 2 interceptions, and Addison Kobe had a costly fumble late in the fourth quarter as IU was driving for the game-winning score. it seems like it's the same story for this Indiana team with self-inflicted wounds. Just can't get over the hump. The offense is not consistent enough to win these games, and until they can figure out the answer to the offense, they're just not going to put a lot of W's in the win column. So mistakes continue to pile up for this Indiana team, and it's a problem that coach needs to resolve if they want to win games down the road.
Then Purdue beat Nebraska 43-37. This one felt like a Big 12 game, Will. Little defense, a lot of offense in this one. Aiden O'Connell threw 4 touchdowns, and Devin McCoby rushed for 178 yards. Purdue needed this one to keep their Big Ten title hopes alive, and the Boilers can still dream about making a trip to Lucas Oil Stadium. The Boilers are tied with Illinois, currently at the top of the Big Ten West standings, and both teams will have some work to do before they meet in November.
I'm telling you what, Aaron, I watched the highlights of that game. There was a lot of red in the stands, and I know Nebraska's not Nebraska of old, like we know it to be, but this is a big win. Let's not overlook how big this win was for the Purdue Boilermakers. I mean, you were talking about the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a proud program. They're going to turn this thing around before you know it. That they'll be back to Nebraska football. So now's the time to beat up on them and get some wins. But a huge win for Purdue. Now, let's look at some notable scores throughout college football. And these rankings are from the previous week, not the most current rankings. Number 22, Kentucky played number 16, Mississippi State, and they won 27-17. Will Levis returns from injury to lead the Wildcats to this huge upset win.
And number 18, Syracuse knocked off number 15, NC State, 24-9. Garrett Schrader threw for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also ran for 81 yards in this one. The Orange Men are now 6-0 for the first time since 1987.
Wow! The Orange Men are relevant in football. Now, that Carrier Dome was rocking. It was sold-out crowd. It's just great to see the Carrier Dome electrified like that. It's just great for college football. It's great when Syracuse is good at football. I'm excited for them. They got a huge game. We're going to talk about that game coming up with Clemson. Now, number 13, TCU beat number 8, Oklahoma State, 43-40 in overtime. Matt Duggan, he does it again. That guy is a stud. He threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another. The Horned Frogs have won 3 straight games against ranked opponents. That's impressive.
And number 20, Utah knocks off number 7, USC, 43-42. Cameron Rising outdueled Caleb Williams, scoring the winning touchdown late, and then they converted a 2-point conversion. And the Trojans are no longer in control of their college football playoff destiny and will need some help from other teams around the country.
Wow, what a huge win for the Utah Utes and Coach Willingham, or Winningham, I should say. Maybe they feel like they salvaged the season a little bit. I mean, they're not going to get to college football playoff, but for the Utah Utes, that was a huge win. And I saw a stat. It was the first time they won back-to-back games against the Trojans since like 1915 and 1916. So, wow. Huge win. Number 5, Michigan, and number 10, Penn State. A lot of build-up for this game, Aaron, because everybody thought it was going to be a close game, and it was for the first half. But then it got a little chippy in the hallway there between Michigan players and Penn State players, and I think that upset Michigan a little bit. They came out in the second half, just dominated. Yeah. In fact, Michigan ran for over 400 yards and exploded in the second half to take control of the game.
Yeah, what a win for the U, or not the U, the Maize and Blue. Number 6, Tennessee knocks off Alabama, 52-49. the game of the year so far in college football. Tennessee had control of the game for the first half, and then the Roll Tide came back in the second half. Alabama had a go-ahead field goal, missed late in the game. And then the volunteer quarterback Hooker led the game-winning drive, and Chase McGrath kicked the game-winning 40-yard field goal as time expired, and Knoxville was rocking after that.
Oh, man, were they ever. In fact, they were rocking so much that the fans actually tore down both field goal posts, carried them out of the stadium, and dumped them into the local river there. That is, I was reading, that is thousands and thousands of dollars that they now have to replace the field goal posts. And so the Tennessee Athletic Department is doing a fundraiser. I think they've got like, I don't know, $18,000 or it's probably more than that. But
wow.
What a game, what an atmosphere. And if you're a Tennessee Volunteer, it feels like the days when Peyton Manning and T. Martin were roaming the sidelines as quarterback.
Yeah.
And Fulmer was head coach when they ruled the SEC back a long time ago. But Tennessee beats Alabama for the first time in a long time. And wow. Bama goes down.
Yeah.
Don't say that very often, do we?
It's not common to say that.
So Aaron is 10-5 in his college football picks. I am 8-9. It's time to do our college football picks for the following weekend of games. 12 o'clock on ABC, the 6-0, 14th ranked Syracuse Orangemen go on the road to face 7-0, 5th ranked Clemson Tigers. Actually, Aaron, this is your game to pick.
Oh, okay. Man, it would be a story if Syracuse can pull this upset off. I think Clemson is just too talented and deep for the Orange. I mean, I'm hoping they can pull the upset, but I'm picking Clemson in this one.
I agree. I think this is where the Cinderella story, I don't even want to call it Cinderella story. I think this is where all the good feelings kind of ends because this Clemson team is quietly getting back to what we've seen Clemson to be. Also at noon, 3-4 Indiana at 3-3 Rutgers. If this game was at home, Indiana, I would be tempted to pick the Hoosier, but playing on the road against an improved Scarlet Knights team is tough. Until the offense can show more consistency, I'm going to continue to pick against the Hoosiers. So I got Rutgers winning this. Perhaps a close game, perhaps not. Who knows?
It's a good strategy, picking against IU. Then at 2:30, I think this is your game, Will. Peacock 4-3, UNLV at 3-3 Notre Dame.
So Notre Dame takes out its frustration on UNLV. I believe that the Irish are going to win this game. They are a 24-point favorite. I'm going to take the under on that just because I don't trust the offense to beat UNLV by 24 points. I don't even know if we can get 24 points on the scoreboard, Aaron. But until the passing game gets better, I think IU's offense is going to be kind of limited. So I'm going to take Notre Dame in the win, but they're going to win by 2 touchdowns or less against UNLV at home.
Then at 3:30 ABC, 5-2, number 20 ranked Texas at 5-1, number 11 Oklahoma State. And I'm going to go against the ESPN matchup predictor in this one. I kind of like the Cowboys to win at home. They have beaten kind of the better teams so far in their conference in the Big 12. So Texas is a good team, and I think this will be a good win for the Cowboys.
Could Oklahoma State have been looking ahead to the Texas game because they did lose last week, and
right.
they'll be ticked off. The Cowboys are going to be ticked off, so I could see that. Good pick. 3:30 on CBS. 7-0, number 7 Mississippi at 5-2 LSU. BK has the Tigers at 5-2. I don't know how many people would have said that when he took the job that they would be 5-2 at this point. Now we're going to see how good this LSU Tiger football team really is, as the second half of the season is really tough. And it starts with the Rebels. Mississippi is a 1.5-point favorite. LSU has the tougher schedule so far. I think LSU feeds off the home crowd. I really like LSU to win a very close game. I like Brian Kelly and his system and how he coaches. And I just think that the Tigers at home with the crowd are just going to be a little bit too much for this Mississippi team.
And another intriguing game at 3:30. Number 9, 6-0 UCLA visits Eugene, Oregon to take on the number 10 Oregon Ducks, who are 5-1. Ooh, this one is a good one. Both teams, if you look at their stats, are pretty identical. The Bruins have beaten better teams so far in the Pac-12. I'm really torn in this one, but I think I'm going to lean UCLA to get the huge road win.
So UCLA is practically a Big Ten school. So go UCLA. But if you're a Pac-12 fan, you gotta hope that UCLA wins, because Oregon beats UCLA, then they're all gonna eat each other, because Washington's already lost. Utah just gave USC a loss, and when USC beats UCLA, but then Oregon beats USC,
yeah,
UCLA is the best hope right now for the Pac-12 to make the college football playoff. On ESPN at 3:30, Purdue 5-2 at Wisconsin 3-4. Normally, Aaron, this would be a no-brainer. You pick Wisconsin at home. Right?
Yeah.
However, the Badgers' 15-game win streak against the Boilers is on very thin ice, as Wisconsin recently fired their head coach, Chris, and the Badgers are reeling from recent embarrassing losses from this year and even last year. I think Wisconsin plays inspired football, but this game should be a close one. I just don't trust Wisconsin's offense to keep pace with Purdue's offense, and I like the Boilers to win their first game against Wisconsin since 2003.
Wow, that would be impressive. At 7 o'clock, 5-2, number 24 ranked Mississippi State at 6-1, and now number 6 Alabama. The Bulldogs have been a nice story in the SEC West. They upset Texas A&M, and I think in this one the Tide will be ready to go after losing that classic game against the Vols. So I like the Roll Tide.
Yeah, I like that pick too. Bama's gonna be so mad.
Yeah,
I feel bad for Mississippi State. Really do. And it's at home for Alabama. At 8 o'clock, the Big 12 has had back-to-back weeks of really good games, because last week it was TCU and Oklahoma State, right?
Mm-hmm.
So TCU gets another huge game in prime time. Matt Duggan, he's going to be a guy that he has to play really well for TCU. He's a big reason why they're having a great season. TCU looks like an SEC school. Like, if you were just look at them close up, they're big, they're fast and strong. Kansas State wants to run the ball and have balance, whereas TCU wants to spread you out and use the passing game to set up the run. I like TCU to beat Kansas State and to remain unbeaten. Aaron, there are 8 undefeated teams remaining: Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan, Clemson, Mississippi, TCU, and UCLA. Which of the remaining unbeaten will make the college football playoff?
Ooh.
What do you think?
Oh man, I think I'm gonna stick with Georgia and Ohio State. Then I'm gonna go with Clemson. And I'll pick TCU. I think they could run the table in the Big 12.
Okay,
That's just
wow.
my instant reaction.
Before the season started, we all thought Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State were pretty much a college football lock. I'm not sure. I feel like as confident as I was prior to the season about that. Alabama already has one loss. They needed to win out to make the college football playoff. Georgia had a 2-week struggle against inferior opponents. Ohio State hasn't played anyone great yet. As an Irish fan, it hurts to say that, but I mean, look at us. We're 3-3. This is why college football is so great because October and November there's going to be some great games with college football implications, and I can't wait. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to talk about NFL and Major League Baseball.
If you are enjoying our podcast and want to donate, please find the donation link in our show notes. Any donation, no matter how small, will make a big difference in helping us bring you better quality podcast shows.
Welcome back to the Will and Aaron Show, where we talk about local college and pro sports. We're going to talk about topic number 5, NFL headlines. The Indianapolis Colts won today, at least on when we recorded this on Sunday night. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 34-27 on a day when Matt Ryan passed Dan Marino for career passing yards. It was his late game heroics that has everybody buzzing. With under a minute in the fourth quarter and Jacksonville clinging to a 27-26 lead, Ryan connected on a 32-yard touchdown pass to Alex Pierce for the winning score. The Colts gave up 243 yards rushing, and Trevor Lawrence was 20 of 22 for 165 yards, but it was Matt Ryan's 3 touchdown passes that helped the Colts avoid a season sweep of the Jaguars and improve their overall record to 3-2-1.
And then the Chicago Bears played on Thursday night. They come up short again, inches on the final drive, as Mooney was unable to come up with a catch down by the goal line, inches away. But that wasn't the only chance the Bears had in this one. They had 3 red zone trips, and they came away with 0 points. They lose to the Washington Commanders. I believe it was 12-7, the final score. Another ugly loss for the Bears. Some fans were complaining about the ugly orange jersey and helmet combination, but I believe many more will be talking about what could have been in this one. If you look at the team stat comparisons, you would think the Bears won the game, but 2 turnovers and that 0-3 trip when they went in the red zone 3 times, come away 0 points. That's pretty much the stat of the game. Fields did make some progress in this one, but he did miss a few open receivers, and some of the receivers didn't really help him out in this one, especially in those key moments of the game. But Justin Fields finished with 14 out of 27 completions, 190 yards, and 1 touchdown, and 1 kind of interception that bounced off someone's helmet or hands. Dante Pettis, the wide receiver for the Bears, had a pretty good game. I was watching this one. It felt like he eventually would score a touchdown, and he did. He had 4 receptions, 84 yards. Then another muffed punt that I believe was kind of the biggest play of the game. And the Commanders took advantage of that, and they scored on the next possession. Carson Wentz threw a block, which was kind of interesting to see him throw a block. Some key or positives, I think, is the defense, obviously. They look pretty good. I know the Commanders aren't like a top team in the NFL, but Roquan Smith had a sack and 11 tackles. The young secondary of rookie cornerback Kyler Gordon and safety Jaquan Brisker both had some pretty nice games. So if you're a Bears fan, I think that's what you got to focus on. Really watching these young players, see if they can, get better each week. If only the offense and special teams would step up, who knows where this team could be right now. Obviously, even if they were good, they're not like a top team in the NFC, but yeah, not a great week for the Bears again.
So let's look at some other NFL headlines from this past week. Ravens mistakes late erases a 10-point lead, and the New York Giants shocking win 24-20 makes their record 5-1. How about that?
That's
the
crazy.
Giants are 5-1.
Yeah, both New York. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about the other New York team. Dalvin Cook had 74 yards and a touchdown in his return home to Florida as the Vikings beat the Dolphins 24-16 and improved to 5-1 on the season.
Now, a failed 2-point conversion by Tampa Bay to tie the game with under 5 minutes to go proved to be costly for the Buccaneers. Pittsburgh was able to run out the clock with converting a few first downs. Tampa Bay falls to 3-3 on the season.
Breece Hall, the rookie, rushes for 118 yards on a touchdown as the surging New York Jets, Jets, outscored the Packers 24-7 in the second half. And can you believe it? The Jets are 4-2.
This is amazing. You have the Jets and the Giants good at the same time. I don't recall when that last happened.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Steven Diggs had 148 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. Buffalo was up 24-20 with just a minute to go when Patrick Mahomes threw an interception that would seal the victory for the Bills. Buffalo now is 5-1. Kansas City dropped to 4-2. Let's preview Week 7. Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS. You have the Indianapolis Colts, who are now 3-2-1 at Tennessee, who is also 3-2. This is the battle for the NFC South Division leader. That is up for grabs. Indianapolis is slowly improving on offense. The Colts' run defense has to get better as they face a run-heavy team and their running back, Derrick Henry.
And Monday Night Football, you have the 2-4 Chicago Bears visiting New England as they'll take on the Patriots, who are 3-3. The Bears are 1-8 since 1987 against the Patriots, with the lone win coming in 2000 in Chicago. The last road win was back in 1986.
Hey, I was born in 1986. That's 36 years ago, Aaron. It's a long time ago. All right, let's move on to topic number 6, Major League Baseball. So when we release this recording on Tuesday, if you listen on Tuesday, the ALDS will begin. Now, Cleveland and New York right now, as of this recording, the Guardians lead the series 2-1, and it's in the middle of the 7th inning with the Yankees winning 4-2. So if that stays to be true, then the Yankees will force a Game 5, which will determine who will, advance to the championship series. The Houston Astros are awaiting the Cleveland-New York series winner as they swept the Seattle Mariners 3-0. And in Game 3, that was a marathon, 18 innings to seal the fate of the Mariners. Now, in the National League, the Philadelphia Phillies stunned the Atlanta Braves 3-1 to advance to the championship, where they will face the San Diego Padres, who shot the most winningest team in all of baseball, the LA Dodgers, in 4 games, 3-1. I watched some of the highlights of, especially that 7th inning the bottom of the 7th inning for the Padres. If you're a Padres fan, you're going to remember that for the rest of your life. That was a stunning turn of events as they scored, I believe it was either like 4 or 5 runs in that inning. So, congratulations if you're a fan of the Astros, Phillies, or Padres. Your team is still in it. And who knows? Maybe they'll go to the World Series. The NLCS starts Tuesday in San Diego as they host the Phillies, and the American League Championship Series starts Wednesday. The Houston Astros will face either Cleveland or New York. We are going to take a short break, and when we return, we will talk about the NBA. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. That helps us grow the show. Also, follow the Will and Aaron Show on Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube for updates. You can find your podcast links in the show notes.
Welcome back to the Will and Aaron Show. Our last topic, we're going to look at some NBA as the season is here. It opens on Tuesday night with 2 games. Let's look at the Bulls and Pacers, though, as they are teams that probably most of our viewers are interested in. The Bulls had a really good preseason, going 3-1. Take it for what it's worth, Will. I mean, this is a veteran group, but yet still have a lot of young pieces playing key minutes. They finished their preseason with the win over the Bucks. And this one, Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond had a nice impact off the bench, scoring a total of 29 points. Other key players in that game were Patrick Williams, who led the Bulls in scoring with 22. Fellow big man Vucevic added 17 and 9 boards. In the backcourt, Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, and rookie Dalen Terry got the start. So the Bulls will open up Wednesday night in Miami to take on the Heat. Then they travel to D.C. to take on the Wizards. And then Saturday night, they're home to battle division rival Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, it's kind of possible they could start 1-2 or 0-3 with this schedule, but a slighter possibility that they start 2-1 or go 3-0. I think they have a lot of good things with their chemistry and continuity in regards to maybe like the Wizards or Cavs right now. So, it'll be interesting to see how they start the first week of the season without their starting point guard, Alonzo Ball. It should be interesting to watch if you're a Bulls fan to see can they kind of build on last season. Then the Pacers went 2-2 in the preseason. The final 2 games they won against the Knicks, and then they lost their last game to the Rockets. Probably the biggest takeaway I had as a fan is the rookie guard Benedict Mathurin showed off his talents. He scored 27 points against the Knicks. And in that game, he went to the line 12 times, really put on a show. As a Pacers fan, I know I'm trying to remember this is just preseason, but I think if you look around Twitter and other places, the Pacer fans are really excited to see Mathurin and the rest of the young players grow this season. Indiana opens with a 3-game homestand. On Wednesday, they host the Wizards. Friday, the Spurs. And then Saturday, the conference and divisional rival, the Pistons, travel to Indianapolis. Like the Bulls, I think the first 3 can go a bunch of different ways. I think San Antonio is a likely win. The Wizards are a veteran team. Pistons are young, but a tough team to beat. Yeah, so I think the only team really trying to win, I would say, is Washington out of these 3. And kind of funny, these 3 teams combined for only 2 preseason wins. And again, preseason basketball is, it is what it is. It's nothing important, really. But I think the Pacers will start 1-2 and beat the Spurs. And I think what I'm looking forward to in this first week is Jaden Ivey maybe matching up against Mathurin, the number 4 pick versus the number 5 pick. As a fan, I was hoping Ivey would fall to the Pacers, but I mean, it's looking good with Matherin too. I think it's been a really nice pick. We'll see if it translates to the real season here. The 5.74 in the NBA. Not a great week for the local guys in the league. Jaden Ivey, although he did start all the preseason games, he didn't shoot the ball well. In the final two, he went 7 of 23 from the field. So it's likely he's going to be a starter. I'm not 100% sure on that, but so he'll be playing. Blake Wesley, on the other hand, didn't see much action the final two Spurs preseason games. He got 5 minutes in Game 3 versus the Jazz, and then the final game against the Thunder only 3 minutes. So I think the Spurs have been toying with their lineups, and they got a lot of young guys. So I think the thing to watch if you're following Wesley is see if he can crack that top 10 rotation early in the season. And then even more, I don't know if it's sad, but kind of disappointing, Devin Kennedy got cut by the Magic on Saturday. Even though he'd been shooting 50% from 3 in the preseason, I guess they didn't see a need to keep him on the roster here. He was playing limited minutes, of course. His contract wasn't guaranteed, so at first I was like, why would you cut him? And then I saw that little tidbit here. So hopefully he gets another shot in the league. He does have the opportunity to return to Orlando's G League affiliate, the Lakeland Magic, to play there. And we'll have to see what's next for Kennedy. Thank you for listening to the Will and Aaron Show. Tune in next week as we discuss more local, college, and pro sports.